I'd like to call the regular meeting of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, again, we ask for your wisdom, your knowledge, and your guidance in helping us make the decisions that will be the right decisions for the citizens of Nashville. Amen.
Amen.
And I'd like to say a happy birthday to our town manager today. Happy birthday, Randy.
Happy
Thank you.
Pray you have many more good birthdays. Are there any public? Okay.
I think he's for item 3E.
3E.
So you're going to speak for item 3. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Let's continue then with our agenda. The first thing on our agenda is a SAFER grant. And the applications are now being accepted through March 12th, 2021 for the 2021 SAFER grant. The Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response is what SAFER stands for. The grant was created to provide funding directly to fire departments and volunteer firefighter interest organizations to help them increase or maintain the number of trained frontline firefighters available in their communities. So at this time, I'll ask our Chief Joyner to come and talk with us about this.
Good evening, Council. First, let me tell y'all something. I know I stood here 3 or 4 months ago and I told y'all I wasn't planning on adding any staffing this year because of the new station coming. Well, when I was helping Coopers do their grant the other week, trying to help do some paperwork for them because I was the chief over there so long, I was helping this grant writer get some information for Coopers. Me and her got into the conversation. She said, "You do realize that they've changed some information in the SAFER grant?" I said, "Yes, I did. I read it, but I'm not sure I understand it." And after I read through it again, and she told me, SAFER has changed the way they're doing it this year. The federal government has said because of the COVID, they're going to do 100% for 3 years. And what that means is if we would have received the SAFER grant last year, it would have been 100% first year, 50% second year, and third year would have been 25% that they would have paid. Now they're going to do 100% for the next 3 years. I went and talked to Mr. Lansing, and I said, "Boss," I said, "I don't know how we can not look at this, at least look at it and try." We've had discussions about grant writers in the past, what it would take to have a grant writer. So I had a very long conversation with the lady that runs Dorner Consultants, Grant Consultants. Found out her history. She was a firefighter. She was on the rescue truck. She got off the truck. She grabbed a tool. She messed her back up. As she was doing this, she went down to do the extrication. The car back got hurting worse. So she went to the doctor. Well, in the meantime, she wrote grants on her days off. The man that she wrote grants for said, "I'm going to retire. You are so successful for me writing grants. Would you like to take my business over?" She said, "Well, I still love being a firefighter." Well, she went to the doctor the very next day, did an MRI. She crushed a vertebrae in her back. Her fire career was over. So she started writing grants. That's how she came to be. When you read this, you saw last year she wrote 40 SAFER grants and she was successful 39 out of 40. The one department that did not get it because they failed to give her accurate data and other paperwork that she needed. So I asked even more questions. She writes fire department grants. She writes police department grants. She writes grants for parks and recs is what she does. I asked her about, public works. She said she did not mess with public works, but she did the other ones. So I went and further discussion with her. I went and I told Mr. Lansing my discussion with her, and she said that the way she does this, she charges 2% if you're successful on your grant. If you're not successful on your grant, you don't pay her anything. That's the way she does her business. So we ran some numbers, and we came up with it, and we were looking at it would be around $196,000 a year for 3 firemen if it goes up to a 25% increase over the next 3 years with insurance stuff of that nature, what it would average out to be. Now the numbers are a little bit lower than that. It's like $152,000 for the 3 firemen. We're looking at We know there's gonna be an increase in insurance over the next 2 or 3 years, so then we gotta look at those things. All those things are weighed in when you do this grant. You figure for the increases and all that, so when you submit it, that's what it comes out to be. They take the total number, and then she multiplies her 2% of that if she gets it, and that's how it comes out. So that's how it comes to be with that. There again, I told y'all I wasn't planning on, but when you see you've got an option to do something like this, and you find somebody that is that successful, it's kind of hard for me to bring it to y'all and let y'all know what's going on with it. And there's something out there like this. And it can not only be a benefit for the fire department, it could be a benefit for Corey, it could be a benefit for Anthony and what they're doing with their departments. So it's one of those things that I really feel like that I needed to bring to y'all. And the chance for me to get 3 firemen. We're a growing town. We've got things coming. We got things looking for here. But that ladder truck has made all the difference in the world. But our call volume is still going up every day. I think right now they're on their 6th or 7th call for the day already. It's just getting more and more calls. Any questions for me on this?
Does this include turnout gear or just?
This turnout gear is not fun. This is just to pay them to work. The good thing is we always budget the turnout gear. We have a return a cycle where we replace turnout gear. I'm trying to do things to try to help us save our turnout gear. We're trying to move turnout gear back toward the back of the station, try to keep that from getting in the sunlight because that affects turnout gear. That's a cost to the town, and we don't need that. So we're trying to save money there too. But when it comes to the people, there's good firemen that are coming out of the fire academy. We need to get some more firemen. Our volunteer status, we still have volunteers, but the numbers are dropping, and that's nationwide. That's when any organization that has volunteers, that's dropping. So.
Any other questions for Chief Joyner?
I don't have any questions, Mayor, but I just think this is a great opportunity. We know that we're going to need some additional firefighting staff with this getting the new station. I've been hoping that the town would be as involved as possible in getting these types of grants. I hope that we can continue to do that for all of the areas, in public safety, parks, as well as in our infrastructure needs. So to get this, to cover it for 3 years too, this is an opportunity that won't come along probably again.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think it's a good thing.
Any other comments from the council?
So, Chris, you think it will come in more like 152,000?
Well, the first year I think it's going to be somewhere along there, and then with the increase, because Lou was telling me today that there's some kind of insurance increase that's going to come the next 2 years. They've already given numbers on it, so that's what I'm saying. We're looking at that. Way you do it is if you don't spend it all when whatever you put in the grant, you put this in here, then they don't send you the money. The way it does, once we've been successful in this. We got this grant, I think it was 11 years ago. We hired 2 firemen off of it, and you pay them, and then I do the paperwork. We send it off, and the state reimburses it, puts it right back in the account. The federal government is the way it works. So I'm thinking somewhere, and me and Mr. Lance, we talking today, it's probably going to be somewhere in the $550,000. It all depends on what the numbers work out when we come up with everything complete. So you're probably looking at probably a $10,000 grant to pay her if we're successful in this, somewhere in that range, I would say.
Mayor,
Yes.
based on the information that the chief has provided us with, and we all, as Lou just said, eventually we're going to have to bump up the fire numbers anyway, the members. Like the chief said, I don't think we can afford not to at least take advantage of this. And I would also, and I'm putting this in the form of a motion, that we go ahead and allow him to apply for this grant, as well as hiring the lady to write the grants.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So, Chief Joyner, we appreciate you and press forward. Our next item is the submission of a government's highway safety program grant and COPS grant for additional police officers. And the town of Nashville can apply to the government's highway safety program grant to hire 2 full-time police officers. It is a 3-year grant, the first year, and I'm just going to let JT go on and tell us all about this. He has the information.
Good evening. How are y'all tonight?
Sean, how you doing?
Hey,
Governor's Highway Safety Program is funded by DOT, Department of Transportation, but it's for traffic safety stuff. On an average, we're seeing about every 2.5 hours a day, we're having a wreck somewhere in Nashville, whether it's in the parking lots or if it's on the road somewhere. Throughout, what that entitles is somewhere throughout this county, that's a death every 2 months. And somehow or another, they're coming through Nashville, so on top of travel. So what this grant does is it's going to give us 2 personnel. They're going to pay for all the vehicle, all the upfit, everything. They pay for the first year 100%, everything but their firearms, whether it's a sidearm or an extra long gun in the vehicle. So the first year is 100%, second year goes to a 50-50 match, and the third year goes to a 75-25, and then we absorb the positions and hopefully would continue with GSHP adding to it throughout the years. So in total, the first year, the project would total almost $224,000. The federal government, what they would pay would be $190-some thousand, and our part would be $33,000 of that 85. I'm sorry, I said it was 100% a while ago. They provide 85%, and we had to cover 15%. That's my error. So our 15% of that $220,000 would be $33,566 for the first year. Like I said, in this grant, what would be covered in that first year would be the personnel salary, fringe benefits, the vehicle, the complete outfit, everything from blue lights to cameras, anything that they would need for working in that car, the computer, everything in there. All the training for the first year would be covered by GSHP. So if we sent them anywhere in the state of North Carolina, they would cover that. Currently, we have no one other than the basic that they learned in BLET, how to reconstruct accidents or anything. So what we would intend to do is send them to intermediate accident reconstruction and then advanced, so that any wrecks that happen, they can investigate it to the fullest. Just last week, we had a fatality on 64. Just last week we had a fatality on 64 that they investigated, and for all of our officers, that's the first fatality they've ever done. But luckily, we partnered with Highway Patrol, and they walked our guys through it. So it was a learning process for them, but having this advanced training and being able to have other funding to send them to this would benefit us greatly. So any questions for me on that?
The same lady that the chief just spoke of can write this grant also, right?
No, sir, I've already wrote this grant. It's due for submission on Friday.
To this, oh, you've already written the grant?
Yes, sir, I've already written everything, and I just have to hit submit with y'all's blessing by Friday. Yes.
And this is a grant he's been working on over the last 9 to 10 months, getting all the data and stuff together, because he had to get the data for Nash County, for Nashville, and the region. You know, Nash County is within the top 20. I think they're 14th in the state for fatalities, wreck fatalities. And the problem is when you have a fatality, if you don't have criminal charges, Highway Patrol won't come and do a reconstruction of that accident. I ran into the same problem in Spring Hope. We had a fatality in Spring Hope, and Highway Patrol wouldn't come and do a reconstruction because we didn't have any criminal charges of the driver. And that's all fine and well, but the family wants to know what happened. And obviously, we do as well. So that was one thing we were looking at, was being able to do extensive investigations on traffic crashes, especially those involving fatalities when there's more than one vehicle. Last week, there was only one vehicle. Highway Patrol did walk us through that as far as doing the accident investigation. But this is one of those things where there is an increase in population, there's an increase in traffic within the town, and these 2 officers would be dedicated to do nothing but traffic. They would work traffic. And this stretch of 64 is one of the deadliest stretches of 64 in the area. But it's not just 64. We consistently get speeding complaints in communities, Birchwood, Indian Trail. George calls me all the time, hey, they're speeding up here in Indian Trail. The only thing we can do with the manpower we've got is put a speed trailer out. Every once in a while, we can assign an officer to work it, but calls for service dictate when that officer can go out there. This would mitigate that. So they would be assigned to traffic. And through proactive enforcement, as well as education of the community, we could deter some of the speeding that goes on in and around town.
So Chief, these officers, they could only work in the traffic area?
They can back up calls for service.
Okay,
Their
okay.
primary job would be just traffic, and a part of also the grant, they have to go to public gatherings or whatnot, and civic groups, and give presentations on safety and everything else as part of the grant also. But they can back up for calls for service, but their number one priority is to work just to reduce traffic accidents and speeding and everything else.
Is that for the 3 years only?
Yes,
Or is it
correct.
forever? Okay.
Correct, correct.
And then after that 3 years, we absorb them, the personnel and stuff.
And
we-
use them as
we do-
needed.
And use them however you
Now, what's the percentage for the first year?
85-15.
85.
Okay, and then the second year?
50-50,
50/50, and the third year?
15 on our side, 85 on their side.
85 on their side?
Yes, sir, and what that would boil down to is the second year, our part would be $54,183,000. The third part, whereas 1585 would be $81,207,
Yeah, we would pay the 85.
for the third year.
Our
Well-
total is 169,000. And we get 2 patrol cars, is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And all the
And all the equipment,
All the
all the
equipment.
equipment that they're issued except their firearm is included in this package that he's speaking of.
Okay.
So you're talking radio, you're talking
Yes.
in-car camera, you're talking body computer, cams, tasers, extra radars, everything.
Vest?
Yes,
best.
sir.
It does? Okay, okay. Well, we know when the budget comes around again, guys, that the chief is gonna ask for another body. He may ask for 3 at one time, but he'll probably just ask for one, but this is a chance for us to get one at a discount. So-
And if you would like me to go over the COPS grant before you vote, or would you like to vote separately? It's up to y'all.
I would say
I'd like to hear them.
separately.
Let's go separately.
Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion for the Governor's Highway Safety Program grant?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and thank you so
Thank
much
y'all.
for taking time to write that, we appreciate it.
Good luck to you, JT.
Okay, next,
The COPS grant, this is the grant that we put in for last year, the health, school resource officer, basically. We did not get that grant last year, unfortunately. However, it's come open again, and I think it's open until March the 22nd. And this would be one of those situations where, with your blessing, we would need the grant writer to put in for that, for obvious reasons. Now, the grant that I put in for last year, and the numbers would be the same. The COPS grant is, it lets you specify basically what percentage the town would pay the 1 year, and then what percentage the federal government would pay. The way I broke it down last year was to make it more feasible and us pay the least amount the first year. So the way it was last year was the total salary and federal share, because this grant covers only salary and fringe benefits. This grant does not cover equipment. For one officer last year, this grant would cover federal share $47,346. The town share would be $11,597. So the second year it would go up. The total salary and fringe benefits, the federal share for the second year would be $46,353, and the total local share would be $14,496. And the final year is where the town would pay the most. It's almost like 50-50. The federal share was $31,300, and the total local share was $31,892. So in total, for those 3 years, the total federal share would cover $125,000. The total town share for those 3 years for that salary for that one officer would be $57,896. Again, this does not include equipment. However, this gives a dedicated officer to the school. And as you know, Nashville Elementary is the largest right now elementary school in Nash County. 748 children year before last. And we go in and out of the school as much as possible, but in my professional opinion, we don't have enough presence in the school. We need to be reaching those children before they reach middle school, especially those 4th and 5th graders, because that's when it's detrimental to make sure that we're making a positive impact. And with your blessing, we could put in for the COPS grant to see if we would be eligible this year. Last year, they only funded 55% of the COPS grants because of other issues. So that was one reason we didn't get it last year.
And this does not include patrol cars.
No, ma'am, this does not include the patrol cars. This is just the salary and the fringe benefits of the officers. However, again, we would be saving $75,000, I guess, for those positions,
So is
for that
this,
position.
excuse me, Chief, is this for 1 or 2 officers you're looking?
What I gave you was for one officer. Obviously, if it was 2 officers, the total federal share would be $250,000. The total town share would be $115,000
Okay.
for the 2 officers.
And the officer would be dedicated to the elementary school?
If we were allowed and blessed to get 2 officers, I would have one officer dedicated to the school all the time, and that would be that sole officer's responsibility. then I would have one officer doing community policing within the town. If we only got one, that officer in the school would be doing a combination of the two. Obviously, there are community events we want to put on, but because of COVID, we can't. Larry Danforth was doing an outstanding job with CRACE. We had those classes going on. We put 3 classes on. They were picking up. There are several other programs that we had implemented, and such as the Citizens Police Academy. If we were to get 2 officers, that other officer would be in charge of all of those events.
So it depends on how much grant is funded, whether or not you get the 1 or the 2, or?
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Okay,
That's
all right,
correct.
I understand.
Any other questions from council
But you,
members?
but you specify 1 or 2, right? Or
Yes, you would specify, say if you requested 2, they may only give you 1, they may give you none.
Right.
But if you requested 2, then you may get 1, or you may get 2, or you may get none.
Okay.
So is this gonna require a grant writer?
Yes, ma'am, because this is the one I put in for last year, and I'm, this was a difficult grant. This was a very difficult grant to put in. I have talked to several other grant writers in other departments that have expressed the same thing, and then we did not get this grant last year. I believe we have a very much higher possibility of receiving this grant if we have a grant writer that has experience writing these grants.
And this is 2% of the,
Yes,
If
ma'am.
it's successful.
Yes, ma'am. If successful.
It's
It's
successful, right? We
successful.
will pay it
If-
less
if
than
The
we
same
got the
person
grant.
that's.
The same
doing-
person.
The
Yes,
same
sir.
person doing the
Yes,
fire
sir.
grant.
Chief Joyner, the same person Chief Joyner recommended would be writing.
So if she's successful, we'll get it. If you don't, it doesn't cost us anything.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
so
That's correct.
what is the 2%?
The 2% of the total grant, so say 315,000, so $7,000 roughly,
So 7 and 10 for the other?
17,000.
roughly.
Any other questions for, Chief Puckett?
I move that we allow for him to get the lady to write this grant as well.
Second.
All those in favor of granting permission to apply for this grant and have a grant writer prepare it, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay,
Thank you very much.
let's get some grants here.
Mayor, and
Yeah.
before we go further, I think it's our finance, yeah, she's here. Would it be possible if, we got these grants and we know what kind of savings we're gonna get if the grants are awarded to us, that we can go ahead and create a line item now to start, like we do with capital projects, putting some money in so we won't get hit all at once
In 3 years?
in 3 years?
I was gonna say, in 3 years, we'll be on the hook for 7.
Right.
Right, but we
Right.
need to kind of tuck some away so we can be better prepared.
We could, but, these grants are for operating costs mostly, so
Exactly.
it's gonna be a recurring cost year to year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I was just trying to save a book.
And
Make us
that's
better
okay.
prepared, make us better prepared
And
anyway.
that's okay, yeah. And we'll just believe that we'll have more industry and revenue coming in so that we can meet all these demands that we need for our great little town.
Make up the difference, that's right.
Right. Our next item is the account tax collector, Yvette. Are you gonna handle this for her, Sam?
I will take care of this.
Okay, thank you.
So, this is just a statutorily mandated, thing we've got to do every year. We've got to advertise the delinquent taxes. We just advertise the principal amount only, no interest. I believe, you may have received an updated copy as of what we've, collected as of today. So we're gonna provide them an up-to-date, as updated as possible list. So hopefully nobody who has paid from now until then will be advertised. We also would like your permission to leave off anybody who's on a payment arrangement.
And you
don't wanna
gave us that
advertise
list, so I think that's fair, don't you?
That was a question I had too, Sam. If someone was on the payment plan, then their name would not be printed in the paper, is that true?
Correct, if you give us permission to leave them off.
Yeah, I think because they're making an effort.
They're making an
Right.
effort, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But there was
only-
one
only
name I saw on our payment schedule that was still on the list, but you may have already.
Yeah, they're gonna still be on the list because they still owe taxes, but we won't.
But the
we'll
list
just
that
take
goes
their
to the
name.
paper will not.
That's
Will
right.
not,
All right,
right.
I understand. I guess you
Any
need
questions?
Do we still have people coming in trying to get a payment plan to get some of this stuff since our last meeting?
Yeah, we've done actually surprisingly well. Even just this month, we've collected about 40,000, and just
Okay.
in the last couple of weeks. So, yeah.
Okay.
Are all of these people aware of a payment plan?
Yes,
Okay.
we've been trying to reach out as much as possible. We've sent a couple rounds of letters notifying them of the payment arrangement plan. So.
Do we need to vote on this for you to do this, or is it
Yes,
just?
ma'am. We just have to have your official permission to go forth and advertise these delinquent
I
taxes.
move to approve.
Second. Okay, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, thanks, Sam. Our next item on the agenda is the desired design and look of our fire station 2. And so we're looking to gauge the council's expectations of the look, the style, and the appearance. Chief, come share it with us. You've given us some information, a drawing or a sketch already.
Yes, I give you a layout of what we had talked about for doing for the building. Me and the battalion chiefs had looked at it. We talked about it. But the one thing I wanted to do with this building, the way we laid it out, was we want to be economic smart about this thing. So when we laid out the building and it shows the bathrooms, the kitchen area and all that, all the plumbing and everything is like in a row, so that would save money on making sure that everything flowed back. When the sewer line's going to be, if you look at where it says the exit, if you were looking at the front of the building where it says the entrance, that's looking at Eastern Avenue. So if you were standing in the building right now, you would be looking at the right-hand side where it says mechanical room and all that. The sewer line's going to be right off the outside of that where it already runs now. So it would go there. I'm trying to save as much money as I can. Like the mechanical room would also be on that side. The generator would be on that side. So that's a shorter run too there. Hopefully, the way I've laid this building out with the square footage of this building, we're only going to have to sprinkler the back part of this building where it says bedrooms. That would be a cost savings there too, because all you're doing is the living quarters, which is a sleeping area. So that would be a cost savings too there when you're trying to lay this building out. The bay area, I did not give you a sheet with the bay, but it's a 3-bay area. One of the bays would be a half a bay, and it would have a storage room built. The main reason I would want to build a storage area there is to put the turnout gear. I mentioned to you earlier, the UV rays break down the turnout gear, and that cuts 3 years off the life of turnout gear, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot when you're buying $2,000 worth of turnout gear. So that gives us a little bit longer life on the turnout gear. But we've come up with a building that flows. One thing we've done also, there is not a dead-end hallway in this building. There's no way to get cornered in this building. If we have female staffing, we don't have to worry about that. You have to have it so they can exit out of the building. So that's taken care of. That's already taken into consideration here. We've laid out a building that is for future growth. It's not something that's going to be 5-10 years from now that's not going to work for us. This building is going to work. If you looked in your package, there were some pictures of 2 other fire departments in there. Cooper's Fire Department, which I was the fire chief when that was built, that's an 18,400 square foot building. It has sleeping accommodations in that, has a meeting room, has offices, has a kitchen, has all things. But the main thing me and Mr. Lansing talked about is we need to know your input. Do you want the brick facade all the way across, or do you want to go with stucco across the front? How do you want to lay the building out? And that makes a big difference in when we're looking at cost and which way works best for this building. We want to know. You know, some buildings, or sometimes they do brick facade across the front, and then they put tin all the way down the side, and it's on the bay area. I don't know which way to go with that. I don't know if you want to go with the brick columns out front, which I think would look better. I think that would be a more appropriate station. I just need some input for you, which direction you want me to look at on that.
Chief, my own personal preference, I would like for the Station 2 to kind of mirror the main station.
Okay, so go with the stucco
Whatever
type.
kind of facade we've got on the main station, let it look like that on the other one.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, that's my preference. And I think stucco's probably a little bit cheaper.
I like brick too.
Do I now?
I said I like brick.
You like brick?
It's an entrance into Nashville, and so it gives an impression.
It's
It does, and that's the
Yeah.
reason.
So that
Right.
entrance is very important to
And that is one of our sides of town that is starting to grow.
Right.
And with that 4-lane road coming, you know, we're going from 9,000 cars a day to possibly 20,000 cars a day. And there's a lot of people seeing what the main part of Nashville looks like. That's the starting point for us before they get down in our downtown area and see what we've got. So
I agree with
that's
you,
the
Louis.
reason why I'm asking which way you want me to go with this, because I'm here for you to do what you feel like is best for our town and what I want to make it very presentable.
You look across the way at the National Guard Armory and the rest home, and they look very substantial, and I think we need brick.
Okay.
I withdraw my comment.
Okay. You know, with brick, but I would put the brick all the way across the front,
Yes.
the bay area and everything, and we'll have poles out there to keep people from backing into the buildings. That's not gonna happen anyway, because we spot trucks.
So like the red oak with the pillar, the brick pillars in front of the bays.
Right,
Yeah, I like that.
At least a brick facade.
right.
Yeah.
Do you remember the EMS building that was built?
Yes, ma'am.
out here? And the facade was very important.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, we wanted
And-
something that looked nice, and there was a lot of give and take on that.
Yes, ma'am. And that's the reason why I'm here right now, because I remember that. So, you know, and the building is gonna look nice. The layout, we've gotta have about 125-foot pad out front for that ladder truck, because when you pull it out, you don't want to be right on the edge of that traffic when the boys are checking the trucks off. So that's extremely important to me about the way we lay this building out. Another thing that we're gonna do with this building, we don't have, Mike Stocks has a drawing, and I don't have it with me, but we're gonna come into the station on the left-hand side, and they're gonna drive all the way around the station and come through the building. I do not want to turn that ladder truck on the pad out there, because it's got 8 wheels in the back. Sharper turns you make, we're gonna wear the tires out faster, and I don't want to spend $3,000-4,000 on tires every year. So we're gonna go all the way around the building. It's a drive-through building. That's one of our main goals. So, and also, one of the things we looked at, me and Captain Winston, we can take with the ladder truck, because it's so big, but we can still put one of our military trucks in the back of that station over there once they're ready. So that's a storage area for those trucks too, to have those ready to go.
So you would, what you're saying is use
Once-
this plan, and then you would add the bays,
Yes, ma'am.
and then do the brick facade.
Right.
And so
And what I will do, once we get to that part, once we go and we start going further with this, you will see it, because I promise you, I will get that sent out to y'all in an email, and y'all can say, thumbs up, let's change it, I don't like the color of it, or whatever you want to say. So the input from you all is very important to me, because like you said, this is what we're going to show people when they're coming into town of Nashville. This is their starting point.
Right.
And we
You'll
want to
give us
make it impressive.
you'll give us a picture
Yes,
similar
sir.
to what we got here for
Yes,
Red
sir.
Oak and Cookers.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions for the
Chris,
chief?
is the ladder truck surviving under the shelter?
It is. I did move it to Red Oak for 3 days back when we had those really cold snap parts. I don't want that truck sitting out in this way. I don't like it sitting out under that shelter during this moisture like we've had it. So we've been trying to do things like that. We're running it every day. We pull it out, we run it, we do everything. We did have a little problem in the McDonald's issue the other morning with the hydraulics on it, but that's because the truck was so cold. So, but, you know, I made the joke. The truck sat and carry in an air-conditioned and heated bay area, and it doesn't get that out here in the country areas. So, but, I mean, that truck is a very nice truck. And I told Mr. Lansing, when you start looking at replacements for trucks like those, the relationship we built with Kerry, I hope whenever that truck comes time to replace it again, we can get another deal like that instead of going out spending $1.5 million on a ladder truck. Because what we bought there is perfect for what we need.
Are the squirrels behaving?
Yes, ma'am. We are actually catching squirrels in cages up there, so we're trying to, and we're not hurting them. We're removing them somewhere else. So,
So, do we need a motion for you to move forward, or you just shared that with us? It's just information only? Okay.
we're just sharing it.
Okay, thank you so very kindly.
Thank you, Chief.
Our next item is with Lee Brown, our Public Works Director, and Randy Lamson, the Town Manager. And so I'll turn this over to you concerning the FY '20 budget, July 1, 2020, the town requiring requiring our residents to pay $15 to have extra items picked up. So Lee, do you want to come talk with us about that?
Mayor, didn't the other
And we
gentleman?
have a gentleman that wants to
He
speak
wants to speak on
also.
that, okay.
Tony, would you like to speak first? It'll be fine. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, my name and address and all that.
Yes, please.
Tony Koenig, 708 Westview Court. Trash is becoming a big problem lately. 5 years ago, Nashville was a clean town. Last 2 years, it's gone. It's looking like the city dump, basically. I cleaned up 3 streets now. I went on my own, and first street I did was right where I stay at. I live in Westview Court. I did Western Avenue. The following Saturday, I just First Street Extension from Fellowship Church out to the stoplight there at East Spring Hope Road. Then I went over to First Street Extension, there from the overpass 64 to Stony Creek. I got 12 bags of trash from Fellowship Church to the stoplight. Got 13 bags of trash between the overpass and the bridge. Western Avenue, I got 15 bags. And it was quite an education. First Street Extension and First Street, most of the trash is dumped no man's land. Nobody lives there. They're not going to get caught. Nobody cares, right? But Western Avenue, though, was an education in itself. Started down on Clark Street. Out of 15 bags, I got 4 bags between Clark Street and Westview Court. Why? You got a guy down there who doesn't care about his business, it looks like. He don't care. They're all rentals. They don't care. Yeah, between Westview Court and Doug Saul's, 1 bag. Because everybody owns their homes. They keep it clean. And if it asked you where that trash came from, in front of a rental house, and a house that's abandoned, I think is up for foreclosure. The other 10 bags was from the entrance of Doug Saul's, going up the hill to AC, or is it up to ACDI? And I stopped there at Marks Road, right there in front of ACDI. That's where I stopped. That was the rest of the 10 bags. There were 4 bags alone right in front of the town lake, where the town bought that pond. There were 4 bags right there. The rest of it was going up both sides of the hill to ACDI. Now, ACDI, they keep it clean. They own the property, right? They take pride in it. But everything else around there, just total trash. Going out of town was all McDonald's, Bojangles, you name it. Coming into town, 80% of it was all alcohol bottles. Cans, bottles, wine, whatever you can think of. And I figured they're dumping it because they don't want law enforcement catching them in case they get pulled, or they don't want mommy and daddy catching it. But I'm thinking 15 bags on Western Avenue, 12 bags on South First Street, and you got another 13 going out First Street Extension. And I probably could have gotten even more if I actually got into it. Now, I talked to DOT. Well, I actually worked with some of the guys at DOT. They gave me the bags. They gave me the gloves. And if you want, they'll give you a vest and all that. They'll basically give you everything but the grabs. They will give you a poke, but the poke is useless. You just can't pick anything up with it. So you have to supply your own grabs. Pick it up, they'll come get the bags. They'll pick them up for you. But I know Rand was talking about adopting interchange. I don't know if anybody's seen interchange there at Western Avenue, but
Yeah.
it's...
Outrageous.
Yep, and, but the thing about it is, you go out there and you adopt interchange, okay, we clean up the interchange, but nobody adopts the street. Okay, you have nice interchange, but you come right into town, you're right back in the trash again. So I'm just thinking, maybe we ought to have something, maybe where somebody adopts the streets in the town, the people in the town adopt their own street or something. That was an idea I just came up with right now. But I know I'm gonna start going out there and at least keeping Western Avenue clean, because this is getting out of hand. And I actually did First Street Extension on purpose, because I knew you lived out there. And I wanted you to see how many bags are out there. And that's why and I also did South First Street for the same reason, because I figured somebody would be driving by and seeing them bags before they got picked up. So I picked that up on Saturday, picked it up on the Monday, and the same thing on Western Avenue. I picked them up on the Saturday, picked them up on a Tuesday. So they don't sit there long once you pick it up. But I was thinking something needs to be done. I don't know what else to do, but get somebody together and pick it up. Because you're never going to catch who's doing it. if you do, I'm not sure what you can do about it. You gotta prove they done it. And,
Well, I
Anthony,
appreciate
do
your
we ever
effort.
catch anybody, throwing trash out?
As far as littering, I think we've issued one citation over the last 12 months. Not regulation, but not.
sometimes you get lucky, you find the person's name in the trash, once in a while, you know.
Yeah, that'll give,
I mean, actually, I actually have an envelope I picked up. I still got the envelope in the bag. It has their name on it, but I don't know what you can do about it,
Well, I mean, if it's dumped, if they're dumping it there and it's legal dumping, then we can charge them with illegal.
See, if it's only just one piece of paper, has a name on it, there, so much you really can do about it, right? They can say, well, my car window's down, it went out the car window, And the Bojangles, that, you're never gonna catch them doing it.
Chief, does the court system still have a, citizen community service like we used to do?
Yes, sir.
They do?
As far, well, yes, they do. I mean, as far as community service workers coming to the town and working,
Mhm.
they do. However, because of COVID, a lot of that's.
Been put on hold. Mhm.
They do, because we have had, people come from probation and parole and do community service work, around the PD. So now that, we know that if we have some, we have something,
I think we need to give them a vest on a pickup stick and give them a bag and tell them to go to work.
right, whenever we get back to some type of normalcy.
Just those three streets alone, that was 35 bags.
Yeah.
And I could've gotten more. And, you already seen what they're already putting back on First Street Extension. So the thing is, if somebody's gonna go out there and pick it up now, it's gonna be that much worse. And what's even worse, when the trash sits there and the mowers come along,
Yeah.
then you really have a problem. I don't think the town, because I think the state's cutting that, I'm not sure.
Right.
Because it's a
Yeah.
state road.
They-
So it'd be nice if the state would tell somebody when they're coming, so maybe somebody can get out there and get the trash before they cut it up. That's an idea, I don't know. I don't know if they know when they do it, because they have contractors doing it, But once those mowers run over it,
It's a mess. It's a mess.
and somebody's dumping tires, the whole bit, you name it, it's out there. I picked up a frying pan, I picked up a couple needles. That's a problem.
She was chasing, but
They're throwing them out. I mean, you name it, it's out there, but,
What's so disheartening, it's not people, outside people, it's our own people.
some of it is, a lot of it is.
Nashville people.
I see people walking down Alston, drinking a soda, chuck it when they're
Yeah,
done.
tossing it over.
A lot of it is, and it's like trash pickup also, I've noticed, especially if they're recycling. Out there on Western Avenue, that part of town, they come every 2 weeks. Okay, so recycling, man, he comes on Tuesday. The same Thursday, they're putting up cardboard to be picked up a week and a half later. It doesn't make sense. And when the wind blows it away, it's not their problem anymore. It's gone. And, we had a couch sit out there for about a month. Now, sometimes I don't know if they know they should call it in or not, or they don't want to pay it, I don't know. One guy had 2 mattresses in front of his house, was well over 5 weeks. And I found out yesterday where they went. He started his own dump between his house and his neighbor's house. So I guess wherever the town don't pick up, he's shoving between his garage and the neighbor's house. I've noticed that yesterday, just happened to notice it. So I can imagine what his neighbor's thinking. But what he's putting there is what the town didn't pick up. So I don't know, did he know he needed to call it in, or I don't know. But that's where the mattresses ended up, so I can imagine what they're thinking. And I know that couch sat out there, somebody moved it. I don't know if
Yeah.
the town picked it up, or I don't know what happened to it.
What
But it was-
happened to the yellow couch that sat out there for a month at least?
That's the one that was this last month?
Yeah, out on Western Avenue, there was a yellow couch that people would call me and ask me about the yellow couch.
I remember the yellow couch, it was probably in
I said,
some
"You
other
should check
furniture out there
The
too.
red one on Fort Street.
I
But,
got a call about the red one.
Exactly, I was wondering how long the couch was gonna sit there, Because the mattress sat there longer than the couch did. So finally, I guess the guy didn't want it in front of his own house, so he started his own city dump now in his yard. But it's more in the neighbor's yard, so I don't know, but I know I'm gonna try to do my best to keep Western Avenue clean. But I'm starting to think maybe we can get people to adopt their own streets, at least their own entranceways. And the thing about it is, if it's a state-maintained road, they'll give you the bags and all that stuff. Because everything I use, except for my growers, which my own personal growers I had anyway, so it didn't cost me nothing, but they gave me the bags and everything. And I can get them when I go to work. So I picked them up before I left work. And anybody can get them. But it just, town goes down that road, I think you have to purchase is the grabbers. But that may be something to look at, maybe somebody to help adopt the entranceways or something, I don't know.
Randy, I don't know whether
But
something,
I don't have all the answers, but I know something's got to be done, but at least I'm going there and pick up my trash. Because it's been a month now. I'm going to go out there actually this Saturday if the weather cooperates, because it's been just about a month now. I'm going to see how much I pick up.
Well, let us know. But I appreciate your efforts so much and your pride in our town. I really do.
Which is to me too, where a lot of it's happening. A lot of it's happening in front of rentals, and they're absolutely landlords. They don't care as long as they get their rent. And,
I wonder if something like a town beautification project might be suitable, and I don't know, you may, Sam, there used to be some, I think there were grant dollars awarded through a program called Keep America Beautiful. And I think it was with the Solid Waste Division with the state. I'm not sure, but that's something possibly we could consider.
Margarita gotten some of those funds to put shrubbery around some of the entrance signs.
Okay.
I just don't know how we impress upon the people of Nashville, don't throw it out the window.
Well,
It just seems so instinctive that you don't do that, and yet that's where it's coming from.
We used to do Keep America Beautiful, where I worked previously, and there is an educational piece that's required, so we have to have somebody who could take the time to go out to like elementary school or whatever and just educate the public.
I think a lot of this is, unfortunately, is adults.
do you think, Randy, that we could, put it on our TV channel or either put it in the paper that we have a program that if anybody want to adopt a highway to help beautify the town?
Yeah.
And see how many people, we may have somebody step, we already got one person that stepped up now, and I applaud you for doing that, to think enough of your town to go out and pick up trash, but he shouldn't be the one to police the entire town. Maybe if you put something out like that, like adopt a highway for a civic organization, a neighborhood or whatever, let them adopt a piece of the highway.
Sherry is working to get us,
Beg pardon?
What was that, Ms. Rabel?
Right, mm-hmm. Project for the Boy
Sherry
Scouts.
Moss, our planning director, is inquiring with the DOT and looking at getting, adopt a section of road for town employees to go out once a month on a Saturday morning and pick up trash. And, you know, the council members too, if you wanted to join.
That'll work. We tried
I
anyway.
pick it up out of my yard every day.
I know, me too.
adopted
This is,
Fort
this
Street.
is how a lot of this seems to be in front of rentals in some of these businesses. There's a way you can force the rental people to keep their property clean, and maybe business owners police their businesses.
Not unless we catch them throwing it out there.
Well, I guess you can't make them
And
pick
if you
up
got
some
some, and if you pick up, I'm quite sure if you pick up some trash that's got an address on it and a name on it, we could probably pursue that.
What you could do though, this is from the civil aspect, is the neighborhood gets together and go collectively to the renter and say, this is the problem. Most of the time, the renters will fix that problem. Not all the time, but most of the time, they will fix that problem.
Renters are becoming a problem with basically Core. We have our own little problem with a renter right now. He wants to buy out. We have a renter, or a guy in a rental business. He came in here about 6 months ago, bought the house right next door to me. Westview Court's got 10 homes on it. We all known each other for a long time. We have our own community to watch the whole bit. Well, the lady next door had to move out. She sold her house. Guy in a rental business bought it. Well, you know, they're paying. The guys charge them $200 a month. Can't believe it. Well, we all get letters in the mail this past weekend. Basically, he wants to pay up the whole street. He wants all 10 homes to turn into rentals. And things keep going the way they're going. Nashville's going to be Rentalville, USA. Because when a house goes up, they don't want to sell the homes. Even realtors, the realtors are telling people, don't sell your home, rent them. So that's going to be becoming another problem. But this guy, he's serious. He wants every house out there in Westview Court. And he's willing to pay. So I don't know. That's another issue.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate your efforts in keeping our town clean. Okay, Lee and Randy, or Randy?
Well, Tony's conversation kind of leads into the next one. Last year, when we put the budget together, staff encouraged the council to implement a $15 bulk item fee, because bulk items, you know, we have to run a separate truck, and it takes a driver and 2 guys to pick it up. And we thought that would be a good way to cover our costs on bulk items. I guess what we didn't anticipate is the pushback from the residents on having to pay the $15. If you've been driving around town, you see couches and bed mattresses setting out the curb for weeks on weeks. The town staff has been calling those folks when we see them. informing them that they need to call town hall and arrange for a pickup, and oh, by the way, it'll be $15. Some say, please put it on my water bill, I'll gladly pay it. Others, they won't. So what was intended to help cover costs is ending up just making the town look trashy. So Lee and I are here this evening to see if the council would consider waiving that $15 fee. We would still like the residents to call in, because if they call in and create a work order, our guys know on Friday when they take the bulk truck out to go pick up where they have to go, and they're not spending half the day driving around every street trying to find something that just might happen to be out. They'll know where they are. Lee, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think Randy and the gentleman that just spoke hit everything on the head and made a lot of good points. And I think we're all aware that a lot of the communities in specific neighborhoods in town have one or two advocates that really take pride in knowing their neighborhood, knowing their residents. And I think with a little bit of work, we can maybe start by reaching out to those, neighborhood advocates and get their input on a good solution forward to how can we engage specific communities, either within the neighborhood or, taking it outside of the town to the entranceways and whatnot. And so, we've obviously seen a successful example. So what can we do to impress that upon the other neighborhood advocates? I know I've
Comments, council? So we'll do away with the $15 and the $8. And keep the client's $10 in place.
Do I have a
I
motion?
move.
And if we do have to pick one up, if nobody chooses to pay the 15, we take it on the water bill.
Do I hear a second to Louise's motion?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, Sam. That will work. Town manager's report.
Yes. Just to follow up, at the last meeting, we had somebody from the Brooklyn neighborhood complaining about some derelict homes. And I had a chance to get with her since the last meeting, and on your desk are the 4 homes. And I had a chance to look at who owns them, the taxes are paid, when somebody likely last lived in them by looking at when the water was last on. Some of these have been empty for 15 years. But surprisingly, those are the ones that the taxes are paid on. So we've identified here the properties. The next step is for me to see if I can contact an owner with them, find out what their intentions are with them. I know one of the homes, the owner is deceased. The other one is in the name of heirs. There's one property at 832 Brooklyn. It's on such a narrow lot. If the town did end up with it, I have no idea what we would do with it. It's not big enough to rebuild anything on it. And I was kind of surprised by its taxable value compared to the one that sits on the other side of the street on a larger lot. I think when things are reevaluated, that would change. But hopefully by then, we will have found a solution for these. I don't know what condition they are in. You know, if we can't get a hold of a property owner, we'll begin our nuisance abatement process and start with the housing inspection. Go that way.
Didn't she say that they were already condemned?
She said that. The town of Nashville, I had Sherry look back, 328 6th Street. You know, you see what the unpaid taxes are, 29. We have just about that much against that property in liens from having to maintain, mow the grass a couple times a year for the last 5 or 6 years. So I found no documentation, no correspondence where the town has condemned any of this property. Unless one of you can recall a specific action on any of these addresses.
In the past, it seems like the county had to weigh in. Larry, do you remember that?
I think it did, because we, as far as I can go back, I don't think the town has condemned anything.
And some of these properties were deemed habitable. And so there was nothing we could do.
Yeah.
I know when I checked a while back with building and inspection with Nash County, as far as enforcing our condemnation on these or our derelict ordinance on these, they won't do it. It's got to be initiated by the town, they said. They will come in and do the housing inspections and document the condition of the home for us, but then it's still the town's obligation and responsibility to bring forth action against the property to ultimately either have it cleaned up or demolished.
Well, I think
go that route?
something needs to happen with these properties. If they're just sitting vacant, falling apart, versus
With
just
no water,
inviting,
electricity.
you know, guests as far as people that, you know, shouldn't be there or animals, so.
And blight, you know, that's
Yeah.
some of these are the definition of neighborhood blight.
Mhm.
Yep. The house on 328 6th Street, Randy called me this afternoon, and I happen to know the last person that lived there. His mother has passed away, who was still showing it as the rightful owner. The son lived there, he's passed away over 6 years ago. And as far as we got right now, he did have some children, but they probably don't give a darn about what's going on with the property. So it's probably going to be hard to get in touch with somebody that will step up to that house. The one at 842 Brooklyn Boulevard, that house has been looking at that same condition for a long time, and I don't think it's inhabitable. The one at Brooklyn right across the street, you may get that owner to do something with that one. It don't look as bad as the other ones. And I'm not sure about the one on Break Street either. I don't know, I don't recognize the person that owns this one, but he lives out of state. I would think we send them all some letters, current letters, and tell them that the plight of the neighborhood, because of your residents, it needs some attention, and see if they give them a chance to step forward, if you can get a letter to them. And after that, then we'll start seeing what we can do. But it does make the neighborhood look shabby. It really does.
Two, I think once we start any sort of proceedings, this is going to be a somewhat costly process. If we can get them to turn over the property for whatever taxes are due, I think that might be a good option.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Larry mentioned heirs on one of these. You know, if you were an heir to that property, you'd probably run the other way because it's nothing but dollar signs if you take
Yeah.
Right.
ownership or responsibility for that property.
But we got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We got to start somewhere.
Thank you, Randy. You have anything else?
I do not.
Council, do you have comments tonight? Kate, do you have any comments?
I want to specifically thank Tony Koenig just for getting involved in your neighborhood, for seeing a problem and going out there and fixing it and bringing it to our attention. So thank you.
And thank you for having the neighborhood watch. I was going to ask, do we have any minutes on the previous?
Not yet. Not tonight. No, ma'am.
I would just want to mention, Mayor, kind of a reinforcement related to the grants. I was glad to see both the captain and chief come tonight with the ideas of having these grants. And I hope that we can continue to pursue those. In talking with some other small towns, I think one of the ways that they've really been able to move forward and progress is by going after grant dollars where they're available. I'm hoping too maybe we can even look at some of the larger type grants for some of our infrastructure issues that we're facing and know that we're going to face, and hopefully maybe we can find something there. I know of one other locale, I just learned they received about a $900,000 loan. It was a loan, but the interest rate was 1.1%. So, you know, if you're borrowing money at that rate, then it's not straight money, you pay it back, but the rates couldn't be better for something either. So, but certainly anything we can do to try to secure any grants would be great.
I just want to thank Mr. Thomas for coming in, telling us what you're doing. And it's a shame that you have to do that, but I hope we're all in agreement that we're going to see what we can do to help this neighborhood look better. Because in front of your house, I can say, yeah, you probably clean up your yard and in front of your house, but you shouldn't have to be going all around town taking the roads in and the roads out, picking up trash. So I would hope we're all in agreement that we're going to see if we can get some help, one way or the other.
I don't know how about, the only solution is to pick it up, you know what I'm saying?
We appreciate it, and the sad thing is everywhere I go to every town, guess what people are talking about? The trash, everywhere, so it's just not here, but this is our town and we want it right. And to all the department heads that are here, I just want to say we appreciate you and what you're doing for our town. And make sure you let the people know that work with you how very much we appreciate all they're doing during this rain and everything else. We're just very thankful that we have the good crew that we have. Any other comments?
Yes, Randy, I have a question about the Elm Street storm drainage project. Okay, you said Barn Hill came in at 638,700. Okay, and we had the grants, the county and the town for a combination of 955, 114. So there's some money left over. What, that 316,000, what happens to that?
Well, my understanding, Louise, it's a reimbursement grant, so, you got to expend the money, and if you don't incur those costs, that's just grant money that doesn't get extended to you. You're not able to, I'll double check with Patsy with Nash County tomorrow, but I don't think it'd be great.
I was just wondering what was happening.
We don't get a chance to keep it.
316,000. Also, the street between Drake and Court is being, it's blocked off for how many weeks? Or?
Well, I got some follow-up from Barnhill on that segment between Drake and Court Street. They're hoping 10 days they'll be through there, and that will be reopened, and then they'll work their way up the street. So they'll go from North Court then to Body Street, probably have 10 or 12 days, depending on weather. Once they get that in, then they'll go from Body Street up to Alston Street. And they're just going to put the street back in gravel for now, and when it's all done, then we'll have a subcontractor, an asphalting subcontractor come in and pour the curbs back in and relay the asphalt.
And about the sewer calibration out in Old Carriage Road, how's that coming?
Well, Lee and I got a hold of Vinny, and that device that he can submerge in the pipe that actually measures flow velocity in the pipe itself, we got that coming. So we're hopeful once we get it, we will have several surging events. That's where it backs up into our measuring vault or on the weir, so that we can have at least
3 incidents that then we can gather data and statistics on. You know, what we've discovered may likely be happening is downstream on the city of Rocky Mountain's end, their pipes are backed up, and then, you know, it backs up to Nashville. And when that does happen, the meter goes underwater and it can't read. So they assume a quantity is going through the pipe with a formula, and they know from the time it starts till it ends, so you multiply that assumed quantity by the time, and that's what we billed for. But you know, our concern is there may actually not be anything going through there at all if it's backed up. I mean, all those manholes on that whole segment are, you know, 10, 12 feet above, and all that sewage can stack up in those manholes, and then when it lets loose downstream, it can go, and none of it ever spews out of a manhole anywhere. So that's what we're hoping to get the information on with this next velocity flow meter from Clearwater.
So our investment right now is around 25,000, right?
I don't recall. It'll be another $2,500 on what we've already talked
We
about.
have that 21 and add.
Yeah. But you know, at the rate of $55,000 to $60,000 per month.
Is Rocky Mountain on top of this with you, or they, you know, they understand what we're doing?
No, they're just sitting back.
Well, Ben Brent knows that there are issues there. One of the things that, you know, Wooten Company, which is our engineer that we hired for this, wants to do is, you know, from Old Carriage Road, go downstream 7 or 8 manholes and just, you know, if we're backed up here, is there any flow going through any of those manholes down there? It's very possible there could be a segment of pipe that has a large root obstruction in it, and it just needs to be removed, and then everything would flow again.
Brandon, what's the status on our garbage trucks now? I saw Old Yeller out today. Are the rest of them down, still down?
The rear packer is going, and you know, the backup truck we bought out of Pennsylvania, the guys have been running with this week. The other one is in, what is it, Gold Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't heard a whole lot on that. Kevin thought maybe one of the valve springs broke, the valve didn't open, pressure built up and blew the head gasket out of one side of the engine. And you know, that has happened before from what I understand. It's not terribly expensive to fix, but more of an annoyance than anything, because you got the truck head was full of garbage when it happened, of course.
So we do have 2 running now, right?
Yeah,
And when is the new one?
Yeah.
April.
in April.
That's what I thought. Hallelujah.
Not soon enough.
Hallelujah. Okay, if there are no other items for us to take in tonight to consider, do I hear a motion that this meeting be adjourned? Do I hear a second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
All right.
Meeting is adjourned. We'll see you.